Hi everybody, my name is Jessica Holyfield and I'm a professional dance choreographer and dance educator based out of the southeast of the United States, and we are here taking a look at the dance practices affiliated with the first episode of Road to Kingdom 2 Ace of Ace. We have the aces as well as the group intro stages. Excited for this because I do know it's going to allow us the ability to just see them in their work environments that they cultivated the routines in, and I think that's going to relate to some more natural movement qualities that we may not be able to get to see in front of all of the cameras under the Mnet platform of things. And so I'm very much looking forward to this. Have some refined thoughts. If you want to hear my initial thoughts on the stages, on the full cams and the camera work, I have all of that released on YouTube. But if you want the full cam, like full screen versions, they're all on Patreon for free, ready for you to enjoy. So without further ado, let's get into it. Going in the same order, hopefully, as what I've done before. It's ONEUS. I love having you have the pistons in the back. Oh, that's right, and that's the end. I forgot about that. Okay, overview. I do think his actual breakdown on the second half looks nicer. All of this, I do think the first half, part of the beauty of it was the character, the essence of the stage quality, performance quality of it, which you get from energy of the stage. So that worked in his favor in that sense. And it looked fine, it just felt more like choreo, but all of this looked nicer. Maybe because of his flannel, it provides this extra degree of texture that we get to appreciate. That right there was way more full, which I appreciate. And then the drop on that was really cool. I could clearly hear the sound and be able to see him drop like that. Really matched it quite effectively. He rolled, he comes right back up. We love that. That part was really nice too. I do think his energy on stage for that one moment was a little bit more full. But remember, this is dance practice. What's done is done. We just get to celebrate and enjoy all the content that they're giving us, which is cool. The high, mid, low, drop, drop, high, low, which we love. I will say, this is a side note, the fact that Mnet is uploading this means that it's less revenue for the channels, like the actual groups on their own respective channels, which part of me is like, I don't know how I feel about that, because Mnet's probably going to try to block these just like they were trying to block all my other stuff, whereas if I was looking at this on ONEUS's channel, I'd have no issues, right? So I think that's kind of, I don't know how to feel, but I wonder if you guys also feel the same, because Mnet's never really done this, I don't think, and so this year. So that's life. We pick our battles on that. But yeah, cool. I mean, all of these are going to look very similar to what we've already kind of seen. Difference is what we didn't have the privilege of seeing. When you just look at the movement quality, when you just look at the choreography, does it hold its own? We're finding out. I would say with ONEUS, the answer is yes. I love the fact that we have this covering our eyes, but we in like a tracksuit. Also, it shows consistency of the members in their routines if it looks super similar to what it was before. It looks way better here, just in the movement, And I think it's because of what he's wearing and because of where he's rehearsing. Yeah, even that was more full. Drink that water, sir. That's cool. It's cool. So, yeah, I would say, like, genuinely, his movement quality is twice as better here. And part of it's the fit, where he is, and we get to see it as is. I mean, we got to see the fan cams too, but that kind of stuff really plays a huge difference. And he probably already had a rehearsal, and so he's able to run it until it works, until it feels good. And that's the beauty of whenever you get to shoot your own videos, is that you can start over. You can just do it until you like the take. With internet, you get like one shot a lot of times. So that's the thing right here. Good commitment on that. Subtlety, looking to the front is nice. It goes, I like the tension on that. Of course, once again, pull up on the hips is really cool. Press it up. Switch up on that. Boom. The drop was fun. Very clear on all of this. It feels like we're filling up our music better. Like, this didn't feel as awkward as I saw it the first time, but it could just be, whenever I see this kind of suspension, I'm used to seeing the body rotate on it because it's an illusion, but just suspending in a freeze-like motion on the chair. I mean, shout out to the fact that they found a chair where he can put all of his weight on one side of it and it's not going to fall over, but you can get it to flip over the way that you can. That's impressive. That's nice. We love that. Takes it, resets it, twings his fingers, looks nice. Look how isolated that was. Very clear, very readable. Love that. The switch up there. I love the stability on that too. That was nice as well. Bridge recover, hitting it through. All of this. That little throw right there is cool. Even all of that. Boom. Clock that way better here. And this doesn't feel as awkward, even though he is kind of moving the same way. The fit that he's wearing compensates for a lot of it, and that's what I like about it. It's not as sensual, right? But it still kind of is, but it's definitely, I feel like it's just easier to read, or it just feels easier for me to sit and enjoy it. Could be because I've already analyzed it, but I just think a lot of these motions are just way easier to read for me. And then having the blindfold is nice on that. That right there was cool. Of course, he wasn't like in a pit of fog, so it was easier to catch that. Gets it through that right there. He had this extra boom fullness and power to that, which was nice. This too, he was able to hold it, boom, rotate, boom. I love the heaviness of how he sat in it, honestly. Comes up, the switch on that, click over, goes forward, hit. Here we go, whoa, boom. He grabs, he drinks. And honestly, if I'm being real, he has the one, like, if we only got this shot, which we did get to see that, the fact he tilts his head back so much and he's just tall enough where he's past the chair, like, I don't know if it's the same chair they used, but if we could see his head when that happens, you're still getting to understand the story to some degree, even if you don't get a front shot on it. That's nice. I appreciate that. And we go... And if anything, if he really wanted to, he could take it and bring it up top and crush it. And you can see it on the back end too, but that's whatever. That was still well done. Like, that one I think was actually better in the dance practice space because you had extra clothing to compensate for the stiffness of some of the choices that he did on site. Okay, next one we have, I'm curious about this one because I had some notes for it. Wait, they get to watch it? Oh, we get to hear them. I'm kind of digging that. Good job. I feel the same. I feel the exact same as I did when I watched it. So he's consistent, if anything. We'll celebrate that. Hearing them is also really fun, though. That's cute. That was cute, watching them all, you know, show up on screen like that. Now, I don't know if it was the dancers or if it was other members, but I stand by what I said. It feels the same. I don't think the practice enhanced it at all. I don't think it took anything away. It feels the exact same, so, which is fascinating because I hadn't experienced that yet. All right, next up we have Tempest, Hanbin. I'm curious how they did this one. I'm always curious how the dance practice ones look compared to the actual performance. So I did get it right. They got a high quality camera on this one. I lost my train of thought. I'm so sorry. Oh, okay. So it wasn't supposed to get caught on him. But he made it work though. I like that he's in costume too. That's kind of fun. Yeah. Every time. No, I feel like I'm intruding every time he does it. It's just freaking plastic, but I'm just like, stop looking at me like that. Which means he has great character, like great presence, great captivating stage presence, because that just made me uncomfortable. But I think more power to him for that. He found that lighthouse and he made it his own, that's for sure. But he was pretty consistent both times. I think part of it was, he had the same illusions, he was in the same outfit, same degree of performance, which I appreciate. So I like the consistency and the transition over between what we see in the dance practice and on site. Of course, the illusion with the mannequin up and then it drops down, I think is really cool. I still am impressed. Like, I still appreciate those choices, even though I've seen it 4 times at this point, right? But we're here for it. Way to go for that. Okay. All right, drowning. Ooh, the singing one. Singing and rapping. I'm ready. Yeah. He looks more comfortable here. Part of me, my biggest thing, I still stand by it, part of me wishes it was a full version. I think, if that was, it wasn't just a minute, if it was, the full 2 minutes and whatever, I could totally get into it. I appreciate the importance of this. And I know that there's a lot of outside influences in the sense of he was on hiatus, and I think based on conversations I've had, his sister recommended that she would love to have him perform this one day. And so the fact that he got to perform it as kind of like an introduction for a lot of people on, hey, here's the new six, and here am I, and I'm going, here am I. Yeah, I was about to say, is that a real sentence? I think so. So sorry. But this is how I'm going to introduce myself to a lot of people that probably have no idea who I am, especially coming off of, a hiatus where anxiety is a really big key factor in it. And I highly respect the fact that he was allowed to do that and he was able to take his time in coming back when he was ready. So in general, I'm very proud that this exists, and I love the fact that it does. I think I still feel the way that I do, but I think I can respectfully feel that way, but also still appreciate what we have, which is right here. He looks more comfortable. I think a lot of the choreography choices, I think I understand why we went for it for where we are on the show. And I am looking forward to genuinely seeing more of this type of approach or this type of I don't know, these types of choices. I really want all the groups to not, what's the word? I don't want them to have a time like a lot of the other groups that have gone through Kingdom Experience. A lot of groups, especially from Legendary War, don't want to think about it. That's just a time. They want to forget about the whole thing. I don't want these groups to feel that way. I want them to have some genuinely great experiences. I want them to have these stages that they can be proud of. I want the fans to be able to feel that way. And also when it's brought up post Kingdom, that they're able to find a sense of pride and joy, comfort from fans, but also the opportunity to really be able to showcase who they are. And I think for me with the THENEWSIX, this is a great way to start that, and I hope that we maintain this moving forward. So that's a little note I wanted to bring up, especially because of the conversations I've had. All right, we have Day, Untitled Freestyle. I don't think he has a backtrack. Sorry, like, I don't think it's him and him singing or like rapping at all. I think it's just, it's like it's like we're doing karaoke, but it's not karaoke. You get my point though, right? We love it. Yeah. Brand new music. Love it. Short and sweet. He has great charisma, great stage presence. And when I say out of everybody who picked their aces, I really think YOUNITE, I think, picked a phenomenal option. And I already said it multiple times. I still feel that way. Day really held it down very well on his ace performance. He should be proud of it. I'm glad that they used him for that. That was awesome. All right, and we got Hyungjun's Act 1. Ooh. We even get lighting? Come on with this. Okay. It's a big room. But I like that they have the LEDs where they are, though. It's cool. Nice. That was cool. Getting to see that was nice. Taking how they used the sword and had it shift around was really cool. I love the piano at the end. So cool. Now I know people have thoughts. People are upset about the fact that they did not get to perform their intro stage, and some people are even saying that because Mnet did that, when they get to the live performances, there's going to be a lot of gaps if they do choose to continue their lore that people are not going to know because the intro stage wasn't shown, and therefore it's going to affect the scoring. I will say this though, when you do competitions where each routine with a live audience that you're not guaranteed to get the same audience every time, you have to find a middle ground between tying in your lore but also appealing to the masses, because you can say the same thing about K-pop groups when they have comebacks. That's how you want to get new fans. You don't want to just go into the niche of the deep end of your lore. And I've talked about this with Luna. I've talked about this with ATs because they are two examples of really, really complex lores. But they're still able to appeal to the general public, and that's the reason. So I wanted to say that here because it has been a topic of conversation, and I agree. I don't appreciate the fact that they didn't get to do their intro stage because it was so cool. And it wasn't just them that got affected, it was the whole choreography team that was affected too. I would have been pissed if I heard that Mnet did that in the routine that I spent so long working on didn't get aired, oh my god, I'd be so mad. I'd be so mad. Oh man. We are moving right along to the groups. We have the THENEWSIX, Yechan Fuego dance practice. Squeaky, squeaky! Nice. Yeah, come on now. Ooh, I didn't catch, you didn't catch on the Mnet one, or I didn't at least, where when he drops, because the camera shy, I didn't see it. And you can't hear this part. With a subtle movement change. Gosh, that kind of stuff I love. But take note here. Remember, I've made notes at times where if we're doing an action or we're doing something that causes a movement like that, if there wasn't music there, I wouldn't have been nearly as captivated by it like I was right now. There's that little sound that got hit. He hit it down. The timing was so freaking sick on that. That's so cool. In general, I mean, I think they did a fantastic job here, and I don't think this is their, they don't practice in this space. Like, this feels like they just went somewhere and they shot it here, because I've seen ATs practice in this space on Legendary War, so I know it's a rentable space. But these shots, like this one, way cleaner. Like, that's a really, really clean star. That works. You get to see the visuals and the dynamics way more. I love that. That does remind me of the, what is it, the Imagine Dragons album cover, right? So that's kind of cool. No. I'm drumming it down, so that was cool. All of that, like, that was so freaking seamless. Really, really cool. And they take it, they throw it away. We love that. The commitment on this is really cool. I'm always a fan of hearing the squeaking in the space. But yeah, all this is way cleaner. Like the little bleeds from side to side, a lot of the breath, the breathability of it is cool. Then this aerial shot. Gosh, I love this shot. Oh. Anytime we can look at choreography with different vantage points, we're able to get a better understanding of what we're looking at too. That was cool. Staging was really nice. Down, coming back up. Boom, boom. Spacing, I mean, it's just a little bit off here, but who freaking cares? I don't really care. There, I think, what is it? Do they still do the back? I personally feel like we shouldn't have done that. I don't know why we decided to go with that. We should have made it even on both sides. Both of them do a backflip. Unless one of them can only do a tuck and one can do a backflip, then yeah, that would be the only reason why. I really don't think, like, I appreciate it being more even on the sides like that. But remember, they didn't ask me. That's fine. But that's my genuine preference on that. Because all it looks like is one of them just had to compensate because he didn't do a tuck. Not, wow, that was a really cool choice to help promote balance, but something really captivating. At least that's what's going on in my head. So he uses one of them to kind of prep up, and then he suspends it. He gets thrown down. Come on. I love that there. More of a fuller pocket on that. Not fuller pocket, more of like a crump posture. But not even a true crump. It just gives a setup similar to that. That little hoo is really nice. Hit down is nice. Into the kippa. Good. Everybody held it there. And then we drop down. And then he has his moment. We have the music to cue us. Boom. With the switch. Come on. We're here for that. Next one. Let's go. Crew 1. Win. What's up? He ended up marking it. That's fine. He bodied it whenever he did it. Woo! I love it. Clapping for momentum, motivation. Ooh! It is weird, being honest, seeing not the boys here, but it's a quantity that's really close to theirs. Oh. Little reverb is nice. That was nice. Cool. E. End. Yay. Okay. Some people I do know were like, why didn't they do a track? And well, for me, I come from the position of there are two groups put together. Whose track were you going to pick? Right? And if you were going to pick one, you had to pick one from the other groups too. So could there have been a combination that worked? Yes. But for me, I think this was the right call for them. And I think that's fine. But also, they are trying to like further what the boys started is kind of what they've kind of established too. They want to make the boys proud, you know, the Hubeis, that kind of stuff. So I get that as well. And I think if you look, the boys in their very first intro, Road to Kingdom, they did something like this and it was fine and they ended up winning first. So why fix what's not broken is also another thing to think about. It just didn't work in their favor that everybody else had their own tracks and they didn't. Now, if somebody else also did this, I think it would have been a little bit easier, right? So, but yeah, so in general, I feel pretty much the same, which is interesting. There were 2 for 2 with the crew one on me feeling the exact same as I did. I think there's one facet of this choreo that I personally wish we had a musicality change on, and I'll talk about it when we get there. The bleed on that was really nice. I don't mind the fact they didn't use their own track. Basket runs there didn't bother me as much as the ending, and I think it was because of the speed, and we also had other movement going on, and so it felt like a floral visual to help tie in the A stage. So from here, this part's fine. Boom, 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 boom. And notice that we just completely ignore the sound after that. Part of me wishes if we started that sound, we finished that sound and don't just let it go. But also I can see it justified as they just bled up and they're letting the sound just kind of spark and develop up here while they're just watching it be developed. So I understand that we can pull 2 different lenses on that, but they could have totally have matched the speed in which that sound is progressing. So I think just watching this dance practice, that's my one wish, maybe? So not even suggestion, that's just how I feel. And then they end up breaking, yeah, they just hold it and then they break. Okay, time for the next portion of our choreo is what it feels like. Yeah, that part was cool. Boom, ha, hit over, cool, love it. That hit, that was cleaner on the hops on that. Wow. Whoa, I love the groaning. Lift up. They're enjoying their time. I think it's really fun watching them. It's really fun watching them interact, honestly. Switch up is cool. Like that. Okay. Center. Eating right here. Slinky. That groove right there. Oh my God. God, it's so good. Yeah, watch. Oh my God. Yeah, if everybody did it like that, game over. Like, that's sick. But not everybody does. That's fine. That's life. And then we have our explosive moment. We have to tie in our lore that we set up. Cool. Yeah. We're all angsty into our basket run. We're not going to talk about it. It's life. It's life. It ain't going to change how I feel. It's just a transition. That's life. We have our moment. We grab it. Boom. I like that moment where you get to see them blossom and bloom. Thank you for that. Boom. Cool. Nice. E and D. I think that's really funny. So I wasn't able to mention this until now because I hadn't really like fully processed. Whenever you looked at all the ace stages or you look at groups and you think through who would be really good aces to consider, I think Unite picked who they picked. I think it was great. For the crew one, my humble opinion, DY, fantastic option because his movement quality is really good and his lyricism's really good as well. He sticks out the way Day did. For Unite, DY stuck out for a JUSTB as well as Gonu. Fantastic movement quality. So if you wanted a really good dope dance performance, he would be a fantastic option. With the ATBO, I think their leader, fantastic option too. Just because of his charisma and how he has been able to present himself in his fullness. So I can see at least three. Those would be my three picks for future aces in the challenges if they're able to make it through the entirety of the show, which I always hope for everybody. I don't want anybody to get eliminated because that means less exposure. And from Road to Kingdom experience, I do feel that there were groups that I felt had phenomenal performances that they ended up going home over. So that to me is always hard because I don't want people to feel that their hard work and what they brought was less than because it resulted in a negative score off of a subjective schema, right? So that's my thing too, is I'm really hopeful that everybody's able to experience a phenomenal routine before the end of their respective time, whether it's at the finals, first elimination, second elimination. For me, I don't care about the points on it nearly as much as I care about how they feel as they progress and get better. So that's my whole little tidbit. I wanted to go ahead and bring that out into the open in future stuff, future analysis, what have you. Moving on, 8 turn, we plus the game. Side note, before we get into this one, Team IM, a lot of the people are affiliated with Just Jerk, but also it's an affiliate of 82, which... What did I mention back in my like ESPN commentary analysis I did of all the groups with 8 turn? I wanted 82 affiliated in some way, and so we technically got that. So that does make my heart a little happy. And it's Just Jerk. They understand how to deal with groups and crew like choreo. So it kind of doesn't surprise me how their routine was structured. I think I was more so surprised at the style, knowing who was affiliated, and there wasn't nearly as much like boogaloo fundamental stuff in it, but I know that tailors to other members of Just Jerk, but I know Team IM is no longer affiliated. I know if you don't know the reason, we're not going to talk about it, but if you know, you know. We're still there. That's still a thing, but anyway, moving on. In the jackets, very smart, practicing your fits. Here we go. I wonder if this was same day that they shot the solo one too. This is a different setup because he used to not be in the front. I like what they ended up doing. Gosh. Commitment to going to a full plank like that without arching the back. Clean. BPM change. And it's entertaining from the side too. That was nice. This feels more conversational. Feels more natural. Even that. Come on. Because of the dance practice. That's why. Yes. It's cool. I love how delayed that was. Every time I just think it's such a delay, but I know the intention on it. It's just really funny. I do feel this is probably top 2 best intro stages of the entire franchise. This is phenomenal. Like, I really don't think people understand. I personally don't care how popular your group is at all. I marathoned all of them. So everyone got equal treatment from me, and I still feel that way. This is a fantastic routine. My one note that I'm going to give it though, I want to hear them live. Just like we got ONEUS going live. I personally want these groups to fight to perform live because they are idols. They are not dance crews. Yes, the benefit of having What's Up and I Am, especially I Am, they have heavy experience working with dancers, working with the mega crew format of stuff, so they can pull numbers if we want. They understand how to work with a group of this size because Just Jerk operated at a group of this size for a hot minute and a half, so they're familiar with the structure of it. But the downside is that is dance affiliate. They are idols that sing and perform. So we have to make singing a priority, not just using our track list and making one big show. A lot of fans appreciate their vocal quality, their lyricism, and their choice in how they project themselves in that way. That's going to be a note that I give them. But when it comes to an overall stage, when it comes to the actual scheme of how it's set up, this is fantastic. Minimal critiques on it, aside of the big note that I gave. And I would extend that note to every group that didn't perform live. And I'm going to continue to give that note every single time we have a performance, because part of the beauty is hearing them sing, hearing them rap, hearing them perform. That to me, I come from the Gen 2 background where that was the priority, was performance over complexity. For me, I'm used to watching mega crews. I'm used to watching complex stuff. Like, this is awesome to see here in the K-pop sense of things, but I want to hear them sing too because they're idols. And I think that's okay to want both, you know? But I'm not going to downplay the fact that this structure, I love it. I love it. And even with the changes they ended up making for the actual Mnet stage, I don't mind. I think they're great. I think both are representative in their own rights, and I love the full outness and the cleanliness here. It's just overall fantastic routine. And I'm going to tell you right now, it does feel similar to how the boys felt when I watched Road to Kingdom, but I already knew they won. I didn't know that Stray Kids was going to win in Legendary War until about episode 3 of my viewing. But their intro stage caught my eye. So if things play out, I could see 8-turn winning based on their intro stage alone. Now, there's a whole ace element that's in the mix here. They have a consistency with that, but I'm going to call it right now. If we're going off of how intro stages in isolation alone, I can see 8-turn pulling a win all the way to the end. They're still going to get my review. They're going to probably experience a stage where I have some major qualms with it. Stray Kids experience that, and the boys also experience that. Everybody goes through it. But I think those are just my overall notes. I know that's a really big, bold thing for me to say. I'm not coming at it from a biased lens. I'm coming at it from an observational lens of the past franchise shows. And we also got to keep this in mind too. There's so much back-end stuff going in on this. At the end of the day, it's not going to be objective whatsoever. It's going to be 100% subjective. Whether you have viewership, all these other things, these judges coming in, whatever. This is not a regular competition. It's an Mnet show. So I feel like, if anything, just because I'm making the statements that I am, isn't downplaying the other groups whatsoever. The other groups are going to bring some phenomenal things. Some of them have really major issues right now that I'm hopeful that they work out quickly because they don't have a lot of time. And other groups, I love the direction they're going. I want them to keep going. And then right there, they're going to make it to the place they need to. Because for me, with Road to Kingdom, I was really pulling for ONEUS. Even though I knew the boys was going to take it, for me, I also look at who is the most consistent at projecting and showcasing themselves, but continuing to grow themselves. Everybody is a fantastic starting point. Compared to the other franchises, the caliber of where we're starting is exponentially higher collectively in comparison to Legendary War and Road 2 combined. So I'm very much excited. So if they win, awesome, not going to be surprising. If they lose, also not going to be surprising. But this is one heck of an intro stage, and I really, really hope that we keep a good thing going and we continue to push in this, but I want to see singing too. Okay, into my little blurb there. Moving on. YOUNITE. Bad Cupid. I'm curious what the dance practice is going to look like for this. That was cleaner. That was cleaner. That's clean right there. You know what? I just realized. I wonder if there's a mouthpiece in it that they're able to hold on to. Yeah, feels the same as it did. Now, I have a feeling we're going to be carrying this hysterical laughter throughout as like a lore piece. And I also know that there is a part strategy that's coming in with Unite with our leader. I feel that he is trying to play his cards to where they do end up getting more screen time for the kind of playing that's going on here of they're not, you know, they're like the underdogs or the least liked, and so they have to go on the up and that kind of stuff. So I understand that, and they're, what is it? You know how like with Ingyu, with Street Man Fighter, he just turned into such a villain, but he's really not like that in real life. I'm fully aware the members of Unite are probably the exact opposite of how we're seeing some of these situations on the show. I felt that way from the jump, so you guys can be rest assured if you're fans, I'm really not buying into any of it. I just like celebrating and appreciating the routines. I will also say this though, if you're wanting to present yourself in that way, you have to take some degree of responsibility for kind of like the squaring up that comes with that. I come from the position, this was the weakest group out of everybody, not because of their popularity. Once again, I've marathoned them just like I did everybody else. They're all under the same chopping block. For me, I think the machine guns to the mask transition was way cleaner here. It could just be a camera off thing with Mnet. It happens. But the storyline or how they structured it was still not the most effective for the type of stage. I also feel that it wasn't as impactful either. I do know they were voted well in their favor because of the Bad Cupid concept, and most people are used to them being cute. For me, I've already seen Bad Cupid and I had my qualms with it, and they have another track that also is a similar vein. I still had major issues with that one as well. So I'm hopeful that whenever we do choose to reintroduce ourselves into this concept, whether it's through covering another group's track or through doing the next challenge that we're about to see, those types of things, I'm hopeful that we're able to have a more cohesive storyline. But I'm also saying this not really because of the members, but because of who's in charge of the whole schema of it all. Because that was my big note on their choreography. Like that, they were the most, gave them the most constructive feedback on it, but it's not them. They're clean, as we obviously saw. I just don't think it's structured effectively for what they were trying to go for. And especially if there's a whole arc that's being built up in Mnet's narrative, I want them to at least be competitive in the projection or in the routine sense of things, so it doesn't feel out of place or out of pocket. Does that make sense? So I don't know. This is a very fascinating thing to talk about. At the end of the day, I really could care less if these routines are like these top tier phenomenal things. Even with 8-turn, it's a dope routine, but we're just celebrating dance and we're celebrating performances and the fact that we get to see these groups showcase themselves hopefully the way that they want. But I know that's not always going to be the case. So I'm just hopeful that we all get to have a good experience in all of it, despite the narratives that Mnet is already building since teasers, you know? So, all right, we have Tempest, Find Our Lighthouse. What's the same, what's different? Look at that. I love the professionalism that Tempest has on this. Oh, that visual's gorgeous. Mnet, you suck. That was awesome. Cool. They should have had this camera guy do it. Goodness gracious. Yes! Oh my god, that was so cool. This camera guy understands how to work the freaking camera so you don't see what we don't need to see, and that was a cut, but I don't care. That's whatever. I don't care. This dance practice is phenomenal. This is awesome. Oh! Still feel the same way I do about this formation. And the fullness of what everyone's doing here. Doesn't feel so out of pocket to how it did on the performance stage. That was cool. I didn't mind it, but of course we got to see that visual, which was nice. This formation's better. Oh my god. That dance practice made me look at this in a new light, pun completely intended. That was awesome. If the camera shots were like that, I think I would have placed them higher, in my humble opinion. This whole opening, guys, see, this is, I like having the receipts because they're in a dance practice space that I know they're familiar in. This is a dope shot. And also I like the fact that we even have a high quality camera that we're recording this onto. The reach up is nice. The fact they're in costume, like for me, how I'm viewing this, and this is just my personal preference, because remember, I don't live the K-pop life, but I work with performers every freaking day. It just depends on the studio, depends on the type of work it is, depends on how we interact on the stage, and we look at a lot of material. I look at hundreds of pieces of material a month. So this is not unfamiliar to me. I love it. When I can look at a dance practice video and I can see that we're practicing in our costume, we're practicing with the type of performance that we want to have on the stage, we're practicing in the dance rehearsal space, and we're also being able to showcase like the prime format of how we want the choreography to come across. That's what this was. I absolutely love it. I love this. This was awesome. This right here, the surprise on this. Look at the intensity of this, the grabs, the reaches, that right there. This right here is awesome. This is awesome. Like, if this was, honestly, this makes me a little mad. If this was their finale, I would have felt like 15 times better. But I ended on what I ended on, which is just, that's life, and we just have to move on from it. But this is awesome. I love this. Anyway, I love that little reach down. It's cool. This right here, we didn't have the privilege of seeing this done in this way with the camera shot Imnet did. This right here is so cool. To the lighthouse. We get it. I'm there. I'm there. Ugh. Then how they shot this part here, threaded, like, we're really mostly just going to talk about this beginning section because the rest of it's pretty much the same, but my god, it's so cool how they chose to shoot it. This is the kind of stuff that I was giving critiques on, but I'm going to tell you, it could very much be Imnet that is to blame for a lot of the notes I gave, and that's why we look at this kind of stuff, so we can retract. That right there, we have the visual, and the camera follows. God, it just makes it more impactful for us as a viewer. Go back in, boom, cool, that punch. Then that right there, the zoom in. I still see that they're hovering, and I don't know if we wanted to show that he was off the ground. I don't care about that as much as the visual of the elevation of the height. I know, based off of context, he's not touching the ground. He's not that tall. So that's just a really dope visual to kind of capture and allow me to really be like captivated by his performance. And the drop down was really cool. And notice they simulated what we saw in the lighthouse, but I couldn't see that the first time because, or the first 3 times, because of what I was mentioning of how they shot this section where they travel up on the hand. It wasn't as readable like what we got to see here. Goodness. They drop down. This part, guys. Okay, they take the arms. Notice what happens. He slides back. He inserts himself through there. I don't think I caught that the first time, or the vantage point we were given didn't make that more of a moment. I think it was that. Come on. That transition, filthy. That was so freaking cool. Rotating it through. And this right here, do you notice how we're not filming this freaking board at the bottom? I'm aware. I've literally worked with a soloist that we have a board and she's like extending and leaning on it, and you see the back of it come up. So I have to make sure her choreography doesn't cause certain parts of her thing to come up to where it takes away from the set. And here, because of how we're shooting it, I'm not being distracted by the liability of the fact this board could cause the lighthouse to tip over. Do you know what I mean? I get to admire what he's doing on it, not what it's being placed on. This is my note I gave. Like, come on, I get to focus on what he's doing, and now we can go back. Why can we show the board? Let me answer that. Because he's not doing anything on the pole that's causing the board to come up. He's doing more stationary things, but it's still just as impactful as what he did earlier. Thank you for that. Oh my God, this is awesome. And he takes it, different cut, don't care. And right there, I get to see the control. I know he was unstable because he dislocated his shoulder. More power to him for finishing. Did not clock that at all, which shows his professionalism. I hate the fact that happened, and I really hope he was able to recover that before going gung-ho into the first challenge. I know that's really hard to do in this type of environment, but I really hope that we have a medical team that's keeping that in check through the whole show. This whole setup, yep, all this is pretty much the same. Nothing crazy about it, so I don't want to touch too much on everything else. That vantage point, we travel from front, and it creates a sense of drive and how we're being a part of this declaration of we're coming from a sense of like an unfamiliarity into something familiar, and we want to take you with us. Like, that's what that feels like. I love it. And we saw the lighthouse there. And that right there, I love it. We look back and we're at the same vantage point. Oh my God, this makes me so mad at why the camera shots were the way that they were. Because this right here is phenomenal. Like, I'm telling you right now. So when they look back at the lamp in the lighthouse, we had a different vantage point. We had an upper aerial camera over on stage right. We didn't need that. I needed this vantage point because they turned. I was allowed the same sentiment of looking with them, because you naturally want to look where they look, right? And then we see this moment, and we have a descended camera shot to help tailor and make it its own thing. And then, of course, you have my note right there. Yes, full out. And it feels, he doesn't feel so out of place like he did in the Mnet version. So I feel like everyone's able to like carry a way bigger degree of fullness, which is a note to them, I guess. I mean, one of them had a dislocated shoulder. I get it. But I really feel like the amount of energy we're giving here is way more cohesive, and that's, I think, a note that I will give to Tempest, that they can enhance and improve on, and I know that they will. I know all these groups are going to improve on it. It makes me so excited for the next episodes. Na, na, na. Now this part here, I don't quite remember this pan over, but it could just be I was observing other elements. Boom. Went through. And that part, I like the fact that we didn't really focus so much on this moment, because I'm so sensitive to this little jumping sequence anyway, because of the boys and because of the kings from World of Dance. But I don't mind the fact that we did end up focusing on it, because it's a cool element that I think a lot of people would really be captivated by. And the slide through, I like the fact we followed him though. It was cool. I like both shots. I can respect both shots, is my point. And then this right here, I think with one of my guys being, I wanted him low-key directly behind or split the center, I think would be my big note. I still feel that way, and we'll just leave it what it is. But this looks way cleaner. This is really nice. It's intense. It's cool. But it chalks it up to the exact things we had mentioned of, you know, the dislocation thing. You can only do so much in this range if you have this all messed up. But goodness gracious, this is fantastic. Like, I think this take specifically way more competitive than how Mnet framed it, and it makes me very excited to see what this is going to be entailing. Just, you know, like I mentioned, I was saying Yechan's a really probably one of the most competitive contenders out of everybody so far. One is for sure for their experience and their live vocals and their cleanliness and choreography and their teams that they have. So I would say those two right now, very competitive on the A side and on the group side. One is, I think, it's smidgen up because they got the live vocals already there in lockdown. But Tempest, because I just saw this right here, I'm telling you, they're gonna be a contender. I feel it. If we're able to get it on the same page on how we're showing it here in this dance practice and how we're seeing it on Mnet, I can really see that working in their favor. Whew, okay, here we go. ONEUS right here. Ready. Now, people are telling me that the knife choreo is different, because he dropped the knife the first time and I saw it in the episode, so I'm curious to see what the timing looks like here. He did that more towards the front, which I like. Let's go ahead and talk about that. We're gonna go ahead and just cover it. Okay. Beginning section, he takes it, sets it on fire. Now that was not a walk through. I still, all that still feels placed, even in the show. It still feels placed here, but I do like having the cards shown more towards the front for me. But I didn't mind the fact that they did a camera shot element. That's whatever. The grab is fine. Ding ding. He grabs it and he drags it. Boom. The little body roll. That was cool. If I'm being honest with you, though, I don't think this makes a big enough difference in the overall section. Like, this doesn't save the intro from my feedback that I gave, I think is my point. I think it fixed a couple elements of it. Like I said, like, I'm not quite sure why we have the stab there. All that gets fixed, but it's still awkward in the connections here. And I still stand by that. And that's fine. Absolutely fine. They pulled, I mean, they ended up getting first in the live streaming evaluations, which I totally get. That was cleaner on the angles of the bodies on that. And they're practicing even here on that. Cool. I mean, I'm glad they were able to practice that. I think that's something important. I bet you they had to practice that timing on that table many a times, and just let it play, which was cool. So in general, I think with ONEUS, their performances are significantly more captivating than their dance practices. From what I'm not. That sounds general. No. Let me for the Kingdom specifically. That's what I mean. I'm tying it specifically to this. When I looked at what they did to these are cool. I see all the workshopping. Like, I see the brain turning. I'm seeing everything trying to get figured out. Like, I'm seeing that versus like enjoying the performance here. And so I guess that would be my note, is that they have really great live performance. Like, it's fantastic. It's very captivating. It's gonna be very competitive, like I just mentioned just a couple videos ago in the same little excerpt, right? But the big thing, though, is that I really like from Tempest is the commitment in the dance practice space. We train our dancers to do this, and here is why. The more commitment you showcase in the dance practice space, the less foreign it's going to feel whenever you are there on site, on stage, because your adrenaline's going to take over, your fight or flight's going to take over, and you're not going to be thinking about the logistics of your knife, the logistics of this, all of those things. By thinking of those things on stage, you're not going to be present, you're not going to enjoy it as much, and you have a higher risk of making mistakes that way. So that's a really, it's not even a big note, it's a note that I'm going to give them. Just like with A-Turn, I want to hear live vocals from them during this competition. That's really what they're missing. From them, I want to see commitment in the dance practice space. So whenever they go on stage, we're able to, it's going to only enhance what they're doing. I'm not saying what they're doing is wrong, but I'm saying that they are low-key limiting their performance potential, that they can further it even more by committing in the dance practice space. But also, who knows how many times they did this. We don't know any of those logistics. And it's just a note as somebody who trains dancers, and we have to hold them accountable in the space, because if they go on stage and they say, oh, I'll perform when I'm on stage, they're going to make more mistakes. It's always happened. I have so many hundreds of videos of receipts that I could show you. But that's my overview that I'm going to give to ONEUS on that. But I really like the fact that they sang this live. Very impressive with the isolations, a lot more clarity on a lot of choices that I gave notes on. I appreciate the fact we got to actually see what the musicality moments at the beginning were. Those are things that I'm definitely satisfied by. We love that. Finally, CRAVITY's Vinny, Vitty, Vichy. I understand that we are upset. I'm low-key, I'm very sad at the fact that this didn't get to have its own time to shine with the performance momentum and adrenaline that you feel with an audience. It hits different. You know, I would have loved to see people's reactions to some of these prop visuals, because it's probably one of the coolest prop usages in the intro stages. You know, and like, being honest, like, this was really, really cool. But my notes still apply, though, is that we can find beauty in the fact that we get the dance practice and we get to see the video footage the way that we do. Like, I'm really glad we have those, for sure. So cool. I love the lighting on this. So cool. Like, this feels like a dance practice, but I like the intention, though. Like, this to me, if you're not going to pull full costume, I like the vibe of, like, this impression here. So it's like he just came back from owning a coffee shop and he had to be somewhere real quick. Ooh. Whoa, yeah. Yeah! My world. Oh my gosh, how did I not celebrate the CRAVITY formation? Oh, I feel so bad, lovedies. Do not worry, we'll talk about that in a second. Y'all are like, what are you talking about? Oh, we'll talk about it in a second. Fear not, just wait till the end of this, and then we'll talk about it. Go to the back. I am so curious about the logistics of this prop, and I bet so many people are. That's so cool. The engineering on that is top freaking tier. Like, God, that's so cool. So cool. Here's what I mean. So when I marathon CRAVITY a couple months ago, wow, it's been a couple months already. There's a formation that they do as a group of 9 that other groups do, but I noticed it in almost every single track they did, and it's a V with an outlier of 2 people. So it's technically this little angsty moment that we see here. This one right here. So glad. Boom, boom, bingo, we found it. I call that the CRAVITY formation because they're the first group that I noticed them use this formation as much as they did. So yeah, I'm really happy that we got to see that here. And honestly, I'm kind of hoping that we get to continue to have this formation in every single challenge just to make my heart happy. So anyway, but in general, I mean, when it comes to the groups, I'm impressed at the consistency of prop utilization and how we use it. Because, I mean, really the only like major thing that happened was a knife drop. But even then, they made it work and it was very subtle. So it wasn't like the same things like smoke not working or a lamp breaking and busting on the floor. You know, like it wasn't anything crazy like that. And if I'm being real, this is another side note too. I think this is one of the few cases where the choreographies didn't neglect the audience as much as the other franchises did. Now keep in mind, this is the first Kingdom season that has an audience of any kind. All the other ones had cameras only because of the pandemic. So that's something that's already working for it. Second thing is the usage of the camera allowed and told one story. When you saw the full cam, if I was in the audience, I wouldn't have felt as neglected as what I noticed from Legendary War. But also, again, Legendary War and Road to Kingdom, their performances were tailored to camera, which makes sense because that's all you had. So full cams don't make the most sense on those like they do here. I am, however, very intrigued when we get to the first challenge. What's the format of the stage? Is it a concert-based stage like what Queendom 2 and Queendom were? Or is it going to be an arena style where you have people sitting all around it and you have to apply to the circle like at a concert? That's going to change how things look, and that makes me very excited to talk about. So I am really sad. My heart actually hurts more so for the team, not just with CRAVITY, but the freaking choreo team too. It is not our ace's fault. Not his fault at all of the fact that this result happened. It's Mnet's fault because they thought it was a good idea to make this rule. I think it's crap. I do. I hate the fact that already from the jump we're having people be withheld from the opportunity to promote their group and to showcase and have the fans be able to showcase and be a support in real-time episodes. Like that makes my heart hurt, and that makes me upset, honestly. And I'm hopeful that we don't pull this type of brutality in the future stuff, because it's already bad enough that we're going to eliminate people. Why should we be doing that? I personally don't think we should, but that's what we're keeping to the trend to. But this is the only sector of the franchise where you actually eliminate crews. You didn't do that in Queendom, and you didn't do that in Kingdom Legendary War. So why don't we just not eliminate anybody and just continue on and enjoy celebrating performances, you know? But they didn't ask me. That's life. I'd have more things to share with them if they did, but we pick our battles here. I do know there is a behind the scenes for this routine. I am excited to look at it. It'll be a separate recording time though, so keep that in mind. I do intend on looking at it and all the other groups if they do have the behind the scenes. That will happen. But yeah, just in a nutshell, I mean, I didn't even see them standing up right there, but also they end up coming from their audience, respective audience, which is kind of cool. So the setup and all that, I mean, in general, I do like the intention. So CRAVITY does a great job on commitment to their movement quality whenever they're in the dance practice space. Yechan's like that. Literally everybody's like that. I'm not saying nobody isn't, but I think Tempest sticks out to me as a VI, like as the MVP for the dance practices to me. And the camera shots are dope too. This one's cool. Vicious. I think it's just some of our guys are in fits that aren't like he's completely not dressed for this event, which is totally okay. Whatever, you know what I mean? And also, CRAVITY, I think, is the busiest group out of them all. They're pulling a low-key AT schedule, which I am going to keep that in mind when we look at the analysis for stuff. I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, I should expect this, and this from them. They cannot control their schedule. That's on Starship. Get it together, Starship. We really don't need to be pulling a really, really dense schedule for them for Road to Kingdom. It's already going to be very stressful. Let's have them enjoy it. Let's not have them have to go over God's green earth and promote all these things when they should just focus on their set. But they didn't ask me my opinion on that. But this side tuck right here with the landing, fantastic viewpoint that we just got there. And also when this gets ripped, very clear. So I think the camera shots even on CRAVITY's is better than what Mnet ended up going with in the rehearsal. So, and the setup there too, I wanted to be able to appreciate the choreo. Now I like what they ended up doing. They ended up kind of doing a subtle hinging sweep, which was sweet. And then from here they go, and the drop down is nice. And I like the little extra reverb on that. It was super cool. And they hit, bo-do-do-do-doom. Nice syncopation on these little traces, and these threads are cool. Go back down. I love that da-da-da, boom, boom. Ooh, bringing it through. I love that choice, having that energy, and they end up reversing it. Gosh, this was cool. This was cool. My world in a vicious da-da-da-da. I like that syncopation choice. My world. Our CRAVITY formation, bingo. And the opposition there. So pretty much everything's about the same. We've kind of already covered and everything, but finishing touch, they all drop. He goes to the back, that kind of stuff. Now the real question is, are they going to continue their lore? I don't know. I think it would be cool to see where they go with it, because so far it's a really dope prop visual, how they're able to use it. And even though the other groups didn't get to see this, it doesn't take away the beauty of it, and it doesn't take away the fact that they're still going to be competitive in the show. They're at the dispense of the narrative Mnet is creating. We have to remember that. We blame the source, we don't blame the crews, we don't blame the other groups for this, okay? So it's just circumstantial. You're asking people in the show who aren't trained to look at something objective to objectively score. That's not possible. So for it to happen to where we didn't get this performed, that's not anybody's fault. That's just what happened. I mean, anybody would have been subjected to it. You know, CRAVITY just had a really high place they fell from. But I will tell you right now, I can totally expect them to have a sense of drive and push that is, I have a feeling their routine is going to be really, really cool, and I'm excited to analyze it. I have no idea what it's going to be. I don't know the structure of what the rules are going to be, but I'm going to know that before the analysis. But all that to say, I am looking forward to seeing all the groups be able to show what they hopefully want to do in a way that makes them feel proud of it. That's what I care about. Scoring's whatever. I want them to be proud of what they do, and I want fans to be proud and to support them along the way. And I want to support in this way too, with the choreographers and the members alike. We did it, guys. We took a look at the dance practices, got a nice little feel, and I'm so glad I did, because it allowed me to appreciate some of these choreographies in different lights, but also validate a lot of my own personal thoughts, restructure them, figure different things out, and kind of add more context based on the information I've been learning and been discussing alongside other people on Patreon and on YouTube in the comments too. I want to hear from you. What fandom do you represent? Also, which team outside of your own group that you're watching the show to support really captivated you or really caught you off guard in a cool way? And I don't know, I guess in general, I just want to hear from you so we can have some great conversation. I have a group chat that is on Patreon that is free for anybody. You just have to be a member. I mean, you can be a free member just so you can be a part and dive in with other people in your fandom, but also have a safe space that's not Reddit, where you can you know, be able to share your thoughts and not feel like you're gonna get attacked for it. So you guys know me, I know you. I'm Jess, and I will catch you on the flip side. Bye.